Howdy everyone, my name is Christian Podesta. I am currently an academic peer mentor for the Department of Residence Life here at Texas A&M University. So this is the fourth part of my LinkedIn video series where I'm going to be talking about how to use LinkedIn as a research tool. So we're going to go into how to look for alumni, how to find other companies, and search what they're looking for in an applicant, and what those companies do, try to find connections at that company to get your foot in the door, that kind of a thing. So first we're going to go up to this search bar right here. So we already talked about people and jobs. Content's not really important. I guess I can show you real quick. Content is just like your home page, but you can kind of filter it and play with some settings a little bit more. So you can search for posts by your connections. You can search by the date, the author of those posts, and then obviously you can see the posts here. So like I said, it's very similar to just your homepage. So we're not going to spend too much time there. So next is companies and schools. So companies and schools are just like you might expect. If I hit companies, it's going to bring me a list of companies. There we go. So here's just a bunch of companies. You can see there's a bajillion pages of companies. So I'm sure if there's a certain company that you want to work for or that you're thinking of looking into, they're more than likely going to be here. And same goes for schools. Just going to bring us a big old list of schools. So as examples, I'm going to use Texas A&M and Shell. So if we're looking at schools, for example, we'll go here, Texas A&M. And here's Texas A&M's main LinkedIn page. You can see I'm following them, so I can see posts by them and that sort of a thing. So I can see here's their feed, just different posts they've posted. Oh yeah, different things they've posted recently, and of course I can like, comment, all that good stuff. I can see images, documents, videos, just as you might expect from any other social media platform. I can see a little bit more about the school right here. Here's an overview about them, contact information, things like that. I can see jobs at the school. So if I'm a student here and I'm thinking of working on campus, you might be able to find a job listing here. And then alumni. This is probably what you're gonna be using this for. So this is going to give you a bunch of information on alumni at the school you're looking at, kind of what they do, where they work, all that kind of thing. Once again, LinkedIn is work and professional centric, so all the information it's going to give you is going to have something to do with that. So as we can see, all right, 301,000 of A&M's alumni who are on LinkedIn are in the US. 82,000 are in the Houston area, 62,000 in Dallas, yada, yada, yada. I can then go and click one of those. So like, for example, I just clicked Houston. So then it's gonna filter my options. So I'll get into that actually in a second. Let's clear that. We'll talk about that in a minute. So there's, it'll tell you where A&M alumni, man, I just can't speak today, huh? It'll tell you where A&M alumni live. It'll also give you information on where they work. So we can see almost 11,000 of the alumni work at the university, 919 at Exxon, Shell, Halliburton, so on and so forth. We can then hit next. We can see what they do. So a big chunk of the alumni is in business development. We got a lot in operations, engineering, so on and so forth. And then what they studied, of course, their major, that information's right here. We hit next. What they're skilled at. Man, 95,000 are skilled in Microsoft Office. Who would have thought? Leadership, customer service, Excel. All these are skills that are on people's or alumni's profiles. And then how they're connected. So like I mentioned previously, first connections, people that I've directly connected to, one-on-one personally in LinkedIn. Second connections, 2 steps away, so like a friend's friend, a connection's connection. And then third, a connection's connection, a friend's friend's friend, a friend of a friend of a friend. That's what third connections are. So basically everyone at Texas A&M is considered my third connection in LinkedIn. So So going back a couple pages. So if we see down here, it's going to bring up people that I might want to connect with. Alumni, man, I'm having trouble speaking. Alumni that I might want to connect with. So these are all going to be, since I have no filters, it's just out of 323,000 alumni. These are all going to be listed down here. So if I want to search, so let's say, for example, I want to work at ExxonMobil, right, in Houston, for example. So I can click right here. Well, actually, let's make it a little finer. Let's say in the San Antonio area. So that's where I want to work. So we click San Antonio. So out of all the places, it's going to filter with San Antonio. Okay, now, so you see this list changed. So it's gonna, since we are filtering now by San Antonio, it's gonna bring up where alumni in San Antonio work. So we can say, all right, so I want to work in San Antonio. Let's say I want to work for, I don't like these categories or these companies. So I'm gonna X that and go back to Houston. Okay, so let's say I want to work in Houston for Shell, for example. And we're gonna hit Shell, and it's gonna narrow down my search even more. So then we can go to next. So what do they do? All right, let's see, I want to do engineering. So I'm looking for people in Houston who work for Shell and are engineers. Now, let's say, okay, maybe I want to refine that search even more. So we can see there's 8 alumni from Texas A&M who live in Houston, work at Shell as an engineer in civil engineering. So I can click that. So now if we go down here, we can see that it's going to bring up those 8 alumni who are civil engineers at Shell in Houston. So let's say that's really what I want to do. Now here's 8 options. I can message all of these people or any number of these people, say, hey, I know you graduated from Texas A&M. I'm looking to get into Shell. Can you give me some tips on how you got to where you are? Can you talk to your manager about me? Can you put in a good word for me? Whatever you want to do to spark that conversation, and any help you can get is welcome, of course. So that's a great tool. Highly would recommend doing something like that, because that's a great way to just get your foot in the door and get started. And then as you can see, I can refine my search even more. So let's say I'm really looking into getting into construction management. Hit that button, boom, I got 3 contacts right here. Graduated from A&M, work at Shell in Houston as a civil engineer in construction management. So then let's pretend, okay, Noah, I like it. I'm gonna connect with him, try to send him a message. Hey Noah, I know you graduated from A&M in 2008. I'm currently a student here. I'm looking at doing exactly what you're doing. Can you give me some tips on how you got there? Can you look at my resume for me? Whatever you want to do. And 9 times out of 10, they're gonna help you. They're gonna want to help you, especially if they're alumni from A&M. They're gonna want to help you. So that's a fantastic resource right there. So that's really about it for the schools job, or for the schools page. That's probably what you would use that for. And once again, that's a fantastic tool, great for getting your foot in the door. If you think, man, I don't have any contacts, how am I ever going to get into this position? Use LinkedIn, go to Texas A&M or whatever school you're at, and filter and find people and connect with them. Just go for it. 9 times out of 10, they're going to be willing to help you, and they're going to talk to you and do whatever they can to help you out. So now we're going to go into companies. So we're going to use Shell as an example. So as you can see, man, what is going on? As you can see, Shell's page looks very similar to A&M's. So here we have home, so we can see all their feed, all their posts, what's going on at Shell, images, documents, videos, so on and so forth. It will even bring up jobs and things I might want to apply for, and then employees that work in my area that I can, once again, reach out to and talk to. So over here on the left, we can of course see their about page, kind of see what they're up to, and then life at Shell. And here's, just testimonies and stuff about the organization, the company. And then jobs, we talked about jobs in the last video, but you can get a little more specific here if you're really just looking at Shell. So of course these are just jobs at Shell. And then it'll even bring up employees for these recommended jobs. So once again, let's say I'm looking at getting into this job, I can reach out to one of these employees and ask for tips or advice, things like that. Then I can even get into people. So this is much like the alumni tab of Texas A&M. As you can see, there's a bunch more filters just like we looked at. So let's say, I'm looking at Shell. Let's say I want to be in Houston, where they studied. All right, let's go for Texas A&M. Let's go to the next page here. What they do, engineering. As you can see, this is very similar to the schools tab. It's all pretty much the same. What they're skilled at, how you're connected, and then finally, it'll bring up people at Shell with those criteria. So if you want to reach out to them, start chit-chatting, ask for advice, ask for help, you can go this route as well. So that's a fantastic tool in that regard. And then you can even visit their website if you would like. And yeah, so that's about that. Let me clear these. And then one way you could look at it is, so I want to work at Shell and I graduated from A&M. They have a lot of A&M hires, so maybe I have a good chance, Or let's say, I'm looking at getting into energy. Man, Shell hires a lot of people in energy, so this might be a good company to look at. That sort of a thing. So if you're looking at a certain company and you want to work in energy, but you see they only have like 3 people in energy, then you might want to look at a different company. That kind of you can look at it in that regard. So I'm gonna pause this video real quick just to make sure I hit everything I wanted to, and I'll be right back. All right, so I believe that's just about it in terms of the research that I wanted, research topics kind of that I wanted to cover, how to use LinkedIn as a research tool. Not entirely sure what's going on right now. Let me refresh this page. So, like I've kind of been talking about throughout this entire video, all those methods I showed you are fantastic ways that you can find people doing what you want to do, working where you want to work. So then you can reach out to them, you can connect with them, ask them for help, ask them for tips, ask them to look over your resume or your qualifications. You might even be able to find like the manager you might work for, so you can start up a relationship before you go in for your interview, things like that. So always be thinking of that regard. I know, especially for me personally, I feel like I don't have any contacts, any connections. Sometimes you talk to people, oh, how'd you get that internship? Oh, well, my dad works there, or my dad knows somebody, blah, blah, blah. Oh, man, I don't have that. But you do. You go to a huge school with thousands of people, thousands of alumni. You just have to find them. And LinkedIn can be a great tool for that, a great tool to connect with people, doing what you want to do to help get your foot in the door. Now, of course, A&M does have some services of their own, hire Aggies, things like that you can use. But LinkedIn is another great tool, especially after post-graduation. And even if you don't go to A&M, LinkedIn obviously applies. So that's about it for this part of the video, or this part of the series. I hope that was informative and kind of open your eyes to how powerful LinkedIn can really be. And in the next video, probably the last one, I will go over creating your profile. So once again, thank y'all so much for joining this video, viewing this video. Man, it was kind of rough. I don't know what's going on, but we got through it. So thank y'all for watching, and I hope y'all watch the other videos, and hope you gain a lot from them.